the session is to this is part of a what I want to do is just like a sharing experience from what I did during the summer because I actually went to a summer school which was called the Oxford Spires investment program. But this year we didn't have the program in Oxford, but instead we just had it in London, and in fact it was just like 10 minutes away from my house. So and which is why I signed up. But another reason is also because the lead tutor was my lecturer, my class teacher back when I was first year. So he used to talk about a lot of, even in beginner microeconomics, he used to talk a lot about game theory and strategic thinking. So, and during the summer school, he really showed us what he knows, and I think it'd just be very beneficial for me to also give this knowledge to you. So, as I put in the content of today's session, the first part is supposed to be just an introduction of this summer school. So I'll be sharing with you just the website of the Oxford Spires investment program. So I think all of you can see the screen now. If you can't, just let me know. This is basically a 2 weeks activity that takes place in normally Oxford, but this year in central London. And it was started by my teacher. He has a tutoring business on his own. So summer school is just like icing on the cake because he usually does private tutoring and not this sort of very short-term summer school. So my teacher he did his master's in economics in University of Oxford, and he had another master's in LSE. He's Albanian, and his teaching team is mostly Albanian as well. Even though he partners with some other foreigners, and the price tag of the investment program is I think you can see it from the site. It's about £1,000, but actually I got it for free because he was offering scholarships to his past students, and I think he doesn't really offer the course from for profit basis. So I think he just wants to learn from the students as well about more about investing, and about what this program exactly does is that we do 2 weeks, right? So 10 days in the classroom. For the first 7 days, we talk about business valuation, and we talk about behavioral economics, about how psychology comes into play in stock market. And at the end of the day, the lessons that we learn is that if you want to do something to make money, don't lose money, which is why we are all asked to conceive an idea, a business idea that at the minimum, at the very least, should not lose any money. And so last year they did selling scones and selling orange juice. Another team actually launched a startup within the span of 10 days, and I think collectively they have raised £1,000 while they are in Oxford. And for my case, I actually did a small business in London as well, and we also raised £1,000 for which is then donated to charity. So yeah. So before I jump to the next session, if you have any questions at the end about the Oxford Spires investment program, feel free to approach me. And okay, so in the next 10 minutes, we'll be spending time playing a game, okay? Let me set up my iPad so I can explain to you more clearly what the terms of the game is. Okay, so yeah, I'm actually using a drawing pad, so okay. Okay, cool. Oops. Yeah, so it's on the left side of the screen. We're gonna play a game called 21 Sticks. 21 sticks. Has anyone heard of this game before? Yes, no?
No.
No? Okay. I think Julie will have, so yeah. So what we do is that 21 sticks, I'll be drawing them out. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. And this is the 21st stick, alright? So it's right here. And the objective of the game is that whoever picks the last stick loses. Okay? Whoever picks. And how do we go about picking the sticks, right? So basically, let me write in another color. So, wait. So the idea is that each player takes turn. So it's like chess, okay? So you take turn in making a move. Maximum you can take three away, okay? So it goes a bit like 3, and maybe the next player can take 1 and can continue taking 3 and 1. Okay, these sort of things. And once we reach the last person who takes this stick loses. Are all of you clear with the terms?
Yes.
Okay, so each player takes
Yep.
turn.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's it. So just to make it even clearer, maximum 3, right? So take 1 to 3 sticks every time. And in this game, I give you a choice whether you want to be the first player or the second player. So I think we'll play three rounds. One is among each of you, and a winner will play with me once. And the third round, once you have seen the first 2 rounds, I'll ask a volunteer to play with me. So we will take all of you can take out pencil and pen and try to think about it. Okay. I'll give you one minute. So yeah, we'll come back at 19:30. I'll think about how to win this game as well. So the last person who takes loses. Oops. So, okay, 10 more seconds. Okay, cool. So let me just pick a random 2 person. I'll be helping you to play the game. Let's say I pick Kwan Han and Jali. Okay. Sorry, let me just get the screen back. I'll be screen. And which of you wants to go first? Hello.
Oh yeah. Kwan Han, do you want to go first?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so how many sticks do you want to take?
Take like 3.
Okay, 3. Sorry. And what will you do, Jali?
1.
Okay, and Kwan Han?
3 again.
Okay.
1.
Okay.
3 again.
3 again.
Two.
So we're down to the last 8, yeah. Okay, Kuan Han.
One.
Okay, 1. So 7. Okay, Charlie.
3.
3. And Kuan Han.
3.
Okay, so
Oh my god.
so you
Actually, I
lose,
made a
right?
mistake.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I should have took 3 at my second last move actually. Yeah, but either ways, yeah. If I took 3 on the second last move, I basically force her whatever she takes. I can force her to take the last stake.
I think.
Yeah, whatever she
Yeah, I
takes, I
think
can force her
Jali
to
could
take
have.
the last stake.
I think Jali could have done maybe
She
3
could have,
here. And
yeah, exactly. Then in that
we'll
way,
see.
she could have forced me to take the last stake. But I made a mistake. But anyways,
Okay, cool. So okay, so since you are the winner, you get to play a game with me, and do you want to be the first or second?
I don't mind whichever lah. I mean, since I went first, then I'll go second now. Then
You go second.
yeah,
Okay.
since I went first just now, so
Alright, so let's say I'll go 1.
I'll go like 3 again.
Okay, I'll do 2.
2.
Yeah.
I'll go 2 as well.
Okay, I'll do 3 now.
And then I'll do 1.
Okay, 1.
I'll do 3.
Oh, okay. So let's say I do 2.
And then I'll do 2 lah.
Yeah, okay, nice. I think you have already
You picked up.
Yeah, you have already picked up. So
Yeah.
I lost, okay. Alright, so any volunteers who wants to play a last game? Maybe either Jali or Jahan. Because you
I
guys
can try. I can try.
Okay. So you want to be the first or second?
First.
Okay, so how many sticks do you want to take?
2.
2. Okay, I'll take 2.
3.
3, then I'll take 1.
1.
1. Okay, I'll do 3.
2.
2. I'll do 2.
I'll take 2.
Okay, so you take 2 and I'll take 2 as well. So
Oh,
you only take the last one.
Yeah.
Alright, so yeah. So I think okay, other than Kuan Han, does anyone see the trick of winning this game?
No.
You
Not
take it
so.
in fours.
Yeah. So one of the patterns you see is that you take it in fours, right? You notice that the sticks are removed in 4 this case as well. And this was 4 because this is 2. So yeah. But the logic goes further than that, because this is basically backward induction, where you actually think about the solution of this game from behind. So let me just write. Okay. No, it's 2. Okay, so backward induction is the idea that because I think some of you, especially Jali, you guys think about the solution from the first stake that you take, right? Like if I take 1, then will Kuan take 2, you know, or if it takes 3, then how I react to it. So but basically the solution of the game is very simple. You just think about how would you have done otherwise if you only have let's say 1 stick. So do you want to be the first guy or the second guy to play the game?
Second.
Yeah, you want to be the second, right? Because this loses. Okay, but what about the if I have two sticks? Do you want to be the first guy or the second guy?
First guy.
Yeah, you want, and what would you do?
Take the first stick, so the second person is forced to take the second stick.
Yeah, so you take one, and the other person will be forced to lose, right? So, and this is very clear. Like, there's no other way to go about it. And what happens when you have three sticks?
Be the first and choose two sticks.
Yep. So, what about if you start the game with 4?
Be the first and choose three sticks.
Yep. But now we have come to the 5th stick. And okay, Jali, what would you do?
I thought just now.
Okay, Kwan Hao, you want to help her out?
This is with 5 sticks, is it?
Yeah.
So then in that case, you want to be the second one, because the first person, no matter how many number he chooses, you can choose another number to make it up to 4, and then he's forced to pick the last one.
Yeah, so because the maximum of sticks you can choose is 3, right? So there's no way as a first player you can deduct 4 and make the other person lose here. And basically, if you start at the 5th stick, you are losing because, like Kwan Han said, there's so many combinations that you can't escape from the second player controlling that you pick the last stick. So yeah, that's the idea that we have already solved this game at its very simple stage, right? At its simplest stage, which is when it has one stick, and we extend the game all the way to where it has 5th stick. And if we continue the process, we go to the 9, the 13 stick, 14, 15, 16, and this is 17, 18, 19, 20. And you see that the 25th stick is a losing stick as well. Meaning if you are the first player, you lose. And there's no other way to go about it, right? Because unless the second player loses this game, I mean, he has a mistake. Otherwise, there's no way as a first player you win, and that's why you always want to go second. And the reason I introduced you this game is to let you realize the importance of backward induction, because in a lot of matters, be it that you're doing consulting or whatever, I think people always think about you have a goal somewhere, and they always think about how do I achieve that end goal, you know. So let's say I'm here, this is my end goal, and you always think about what are the possibilities that I'll meet, say at point A. And if I choose this path, will I stray away from the end goal? You know? But maybe another way to look at the matter is to think about whether you can foresee the last step just before the goal, you know, and try to reverse engineer the solution to the problem. And the another insight that you can take away from this is to think about, let's see if I can type, to think about the consequence of the consequence of the consequence of your actions. Alright? So yeah, think about, every move that you make, definitely they have a chain reaction. And in this case, you have seen that how the two paths diverge, right? But yeah, if people are more mindful about what are the consequences, what are the reactions one make, and what are the reactions from other individuals in the environment that could influence the final outcome, right? I think it will be very beneficial for you in whatever planning you do. And in today's session, of course, we can't cover all the possibilities of this sort of strategic thinking. And personally, for me, I think I'll use it for medium, short-term kind of, a medium-term planning where I will think about what would I want to do when I graduate. For some of you, I think you graduate in 2 years, so the horizon is longer. For me, if I want to see myself as a better person at the end of my graduation, which is in a year's time, so what should I do? How should I utilize the whole 9 months leading up to my graduation when I'm in UK or when I'm here, when I'm in Malaysia, and maybe I don't have as much resources, but I have to think about this and if you put that to a really, really long horizon, then you're probably looking at a very important topic that will come to you one day, right? So it's about how do you retire comfortably, and luckily for us, it's not something that hasn't been done. In fact, you have a lot of role models to look at, right? So what it means is that you have so many sort of let's see, you have so many autobiography out there that tells you about how people achieve success. And their whole story is basically a string of decisions, right? And if you follow a successful people's ideology, it's quite possible that, let's say you're 60 years old and you're just 20 here. It's quite possible that you can reverse engineer or, just copy whatever he does and maybe you reach his stage as well. Not saying that it's guaranteed, but I think you can find a degree of success in imitating people. It's not exactly a bad thing to actually copy from someone if he's successful. So yeah, I think that's the main idea here as well. And let's see. So the next thing I want to talk about before going into powers of compounding is just brief discussion on the options after a person graduates, right? Oh, and by the way, if you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to interrupt me. So there's basically 4 ways of growing wealth after you graduate, alright? So let's say you're a graduate, and so what are you gonna do, right? So if you have anything more to add to this list of 4, feel free. But what I can think of is basically you can work. So you can work and who knows, become an EY partner like Judy. And not sure whether Judy is, but Sufan definitely is. Or maybe you can continue studying, get a postgrad. Not very sure how people made themselves rich going to this path, but that's an option. Or you can start a business, and these are probably the more visible people of this list of 4. So definitely there are people like Bill Gates, maybe Mark Zuckerberg. And at the end of this list is to invest. Okay, so notice how different they are from these 3. And investing is probably more like a side thing to starting a business. But I think they complement each other in the sense that to be more investor-like is also to be more business-like, where you actually pick up a lot of skills about how to run a business when you assess whether a business is profitable. So investing, definitely the role model you're looking at is Warren Buffett. And so yeah, he was rumored to be able to do compounding very quick, and to do compounding really quick. So let us do a compounding exercise here, alright? So I've actually prepared a PowerPoint here. Let me also, sorry. Yeah, let me also put this up to you. So you have another 1 minute to think about this. Alright, so okay. Let's say a savings account pays you an annual interest rate of 9%. Alright, so 12 months, then you put in 100 ringgit into that savings account, it gives you 109 at the end of the year. And so if someone puts down $1 million USD in the bank and keeps it for 40 years, how much will he be looking at? How much will he be getting at the end of that 40 years? Meaning he has collected the interest for 40 times. And the key is to think about how long it takes for your money to solve this question. I mean, any sort of compounding exercises, the key is to think about how long does it take for your money to double. Okay? Maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 20 years. And then you find out how many times does your money doubles in this span of 40 years. So, and before I leave you guys to tackle it, remember to write your answers on a paper and stick with it. Don't be influenced by others, and also do not use a calculator. Okay, and don't give me answers like 1.09 to the power of 40 because I want an exact figure, and that's how we can all compare our answers. So yep, we have yeah. So we'll start. We'll come back and discuss at 2039. Okay, cool. Okay, 10 more seconds. Yeah, so I think I'll start with okay, Kwan Han. So what's the answer on your paper?
Hang on. Can you come back to me at the end, please?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay.
I can try.
Okay, yeah, you can try. Okay.
Yeah.
Or if anyone has any answer, so do we? Hey, come on, guys.
Yeah, my answers as well.
Mm-hmm. Who? Brian, is it?
Jahan.
Oh, Jahan. Oh, yeah, sure. What's yours?
So, how should I show you? Actually,
Oh, wait.
can I have a question again?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's here. So saving accounts. Hey, oops. Almost give away the share. Okay. So someone puts down $1 million USD in a savings account that pays 9%. keeps it for 40 years. And what's your answer?
It takes 8 years to double, and in the end of the 40th year, you can get 32 million.
32. Okay, cool. Who has other answers? Or similar answers to Jiaheng?
Mine's 30, but sorry,
Okay, that is good. And
Mine is 31, about 31.3. Like I'm guesstimating a bit lah. I'm not quite sure. I'm just yeah.
Okay, cool. And Jiali? Just tell us what's your answer on your paper, okay?
It's just 30.
30. Okay. And Brian?
30.
30. Okay. So I think it's very interesting. I'm not sure which of you. I don't think any of you saw my answer, but I think there might be some kind of anchoring because somehow everyone has their answers very close to 31. And yeah, so if you type just using the Mozilla calculator, the Google calculator, yeah, it comes back at 31.4. So so let me just ask, how did Kuan Han you arrive to the number? Since you are the closest.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so how do you arrive to the number?
Oh, I just calculate like the power law of 1.09. Because you just take 1, which is like every year, and then 0. Because I'm not very familiar with compounding, so I just use maths and like 1 and then 0.09 and then to the power of 40 years. Because every year you get 0.9 back times 1 million lah. So the 1 million is just yeah.
Okay, so you use 1 as a scale, right? Pretty much
Yep.
1 to 1 million, right? Okay, cool. So what about Jali? How do you arrive to 30 million?
To be honest, I just guess.
Okay, so do you have like a working?
Initially, the concept is similar, as in first year you get 1.09, then second year you get 1.09 square. So yeah.
Okay. Then what about Jiaheng?
I used the 72 compounding rule, which I've heard last time.
Okay, nice. So yeah, somebody mentioned the 72. So okay, do you want to explain to us how do you use that?
Okay, so basically for this 72 compounding rule, they use 72 divided by the annual interest rate given. So like let's say the interest rate given here is 9. So we use 72 divided by 9, and that's the time that requires you to double the money that you put in. It works for any amount. And let's say in this case, we are given 1 million. So it takes roughly 8 years to double the 1 million to 2 million, and it goes on. It takes another 8 years to double your 2 million to 4 million. And so at the 8th year, 2 million, 16th year, 4 million, 24th year, 8 million, 32nd year, 16 million, and 40th year, 32 million. This is just a rough estimation technique, so it doesn't provide the accurate amount compared to the 1.09 to the power of 40.
Yep, that's right. So Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to teach you guys in this 15 minutes as well. So the 72 rules is it's just like a layman wisdom where the investors come out with to think to visualize how compounding works out. So obviously Kuan Han can arrive to his number, and actually we all know that it's way easier to just use a calculator to arrive at these figures, but I think it always helps to be able to do it in your head, how the compounding, to know about how big these differences make to how these interest rate differences make to your final wealth if you put it through a long horizon. So yeah, so the 72 rule is basically if your annual return is X%, the number of years it takes to double is 72, and in our case was 9%, so it takes 8 years to double the money. If it was 12%, then it would take 6 years to double the money. And so blah 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 blah. Yeah. So you can change the numbers to let's say I don't know 6, 8, 9, 12. These are all easy numbers for you to go about. But even if you just work it on the calculator, right? So um, it's actually quite amazing how very little change in the interest rate can do to the overall wealth that you're looking at. Okay, so let's say a 40-year horizon. Previously it was at 9% interest rate every year. You are growing it to about 30 million, right? So 32 million. And but in every year, if let's say you just squeeze out another 1% interest rate, and you can actually see that over 40 years, it has grown to a 50% difference in the final withdrawal that you are making from the bank. So I think this coupled with what we just learned about value induction really forces us to think about in your whatever financial planning, you really need to make sure that every step is on the right way. And I think another very telling example about interest rate is that if you work it on your calculator as well, a person earning 15% interest rate for 9 years running and lose 10% in the final year. Sorry, let me make it bigger. Versus a person earning a steady 10% for 10 years in a row. You can actually see that the person B will end up with more money. So I think it's true, yeah. So let me just work it out. So 159 times yeah, gives you about, let's say if you put in 1 million, you get back about 3.1 million. Let's look at someone who earns a lower interest rate. Earns a lower interest rate, but gets it back at a 10-year old. Wait, maybe I should. So if I use the correct numerical example, maybe I should discount the earlier guy with 20%. So, okay. Yeah, probably I'm cherry picking the data, but okay, so let me change the parameters by a bit. So, okay. So you see that the person B ends up with more money, and there's really no right or wrong ways of investing, right? But what I take away from the summer school is that if you want a peace of mind, and since there are always two ways of investing, which is speculating versus buying and holding, perhaps what you should really do is to explore the two styles, and you need to see whether you're more comfortable with earning a steady return that would pay off as well in the long run, or do you go for a higher risk, higher reward kind of strategy? And I think the best way you can go about these things is to get yourself into it really early and to see what style suits you. And if neither suits you, maybe like Warren Buffett say, you can just invest in a index fund and just leave it be. Let the economy does its job on deciding what your investment value is, and not try to actively go into the field, which is I think what he mentioned in the article that I shared with you guys as well. So I think I've already reached the last session before the break, more or less on time. So okay, let's see. Yeah. So yep. So let's look at. Okay, I don't really have any materials, any drawings on this Mr. Marketing, but I'll just say that essentially the market is an aggregation of all the market participants, right? So what it means is that okay, in a market, you are really looking at a Mr. Market who, okay, it's quite silly, but okay, so let's call the stock market Mr. Market. And Mr. Market is really an aggregation of participants like you and me, and financial institutions and governments who, despite their best effort, okay, still falls to a lot of policies, let's just say, on the human emotions. Like they can be irrational at times. When you hit a buy order or sell order on the stock market, okay, you're not really doing it against a machine, but okay, maybe algorithm does it, but I'm talking about most of the time, you are really taking over that asset from another individual who is willing to, take the other side of the market to make this deal happen. And so there's a lot of noise, right? And especially in the short term where if you base your investing in the short-term decisions, there's going to be a lot of noise, which I can say rarely affects the overall sentiment, but affects small segments of the overall stock exchange, like maybe here and there, where someone just have a change of heart, and things happen. But overall, can you really believe that the business fundamental of the economy actually change, within matters of seconds? There are a lot of school of thought on it, but my take is that it doesn't. And so, but I think it's overall a trend for people to, not just people, but even the media to try to treat market activity as something that should be as active as possible. Which if you tune into BFM 89.9, you can always hear the stock market quotes, and the market quotes, seriously, they come in at every hour. I think even post-market trading hours, they'll still be telling you, trying to shove into your face whatever information there are about the stock markets of the day. But yeah, I think if you decide that you're not a trader, then perhaps you should really just turn off the radio and spend more energy on picking the right stocks that you're willing to hold for 10 years. I think somebody a very famous investor actually said that if you're not comfortable, okay, wait. If you're not comfortable holding a stock for 10 years, don't even hold it for 10 seconds. And this is really speaking to the investor psychology most of the time, especially when you're beginning. Even I as well, you will very often subject your emotions and your decisions to some random article that you just come across online, and it just completely messes up with your strategy and stuff. So yeah, so I think we'll go into a break now, and after the break we will be playing another game, and yeah, we'll be playing another game, and also yeah, after the 5 minutes break. And during these 5 minutes, if you have anything you want to ask me, feel free to do so. We'll come back at past 9. Okay.
During this break, maybe if you guys haven't read the article, it'd be a good time to catch up.
Yep. Okay. Turn back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, we're gonna play an auction game. Okay. And everyone is a participant this time, okay? So, unlike the Berlin game. Yeah. So. Okay, so I'm putting out an offer. Can you guys see the clock here? Can, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so okay. So I'm putting up USD £5 on auction. Alright, so it's not a normal auction. So it's an auction where the second highest, right, the highest bidder wins. Bidder wins. You can just shout out your bid, okay? And but the second highest, second highest bidder pays 50% of his bid too. Right, so the difference of this and a normal auction is that okay, so the highest bidder wins and pays, but the second highest guy or girl pays 50% of his bid as well, and we are gonna do this in 0.5 pounds, pay 50 pence every time, and all right, so I'll start. So I'll
Wait,
begin
can I
the
ask a question? Wait, so
yeah,
the highest bidder wins,
and pays
but the second highest bidder has to pay 50%.
as well. Yeah,
But so the highest bidder pays his amount and gets the £5, and the
yeah,
second highest bidder pays 50% but doesn't get anything. Is it?
yeah. He doesn't, and
So
he has to pay.
okay,
And
so
yeah,
the goal is basically not to be the second highest bidder.
maybe. Oh yeah, and one thing before we start is that uh, yeah. So your idea is right. So yeah. So first guy pays, second guy pays as well. But pays less. He just pays 50% of it, of his whatever he shout out, his last bid. And I'm gonna start offering this on a pound. Okay. So okay, a pound. And every time you increase, shout out number. You can increase it in the minimum of 50p. And this is a time auction, which means that we are gonna start the auction in another 30 seconds. So at 5:30, we are gonna start, and the auction will last exactly 60 seconds. So it's time, takes place in 30 seconds, and you have the time to discuss about no, sorry, you can't discuss about strategy. You can think about it, but no discussions among the participants in this session. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, start.
1.5 pound.
All right.
Brian.
1.5 for Brian.
£3.
3 from Julie. Okay.
4.75.
Okay, 4.75 from Farhan. who's next? 35 more seconds, guys.
5.25.
Okay. Who's gonna win? Any more calls?
5.75.
6.
Okay, you mean 6.25. Okay. Okay, so
Yep,
I
yep.
think. Okay, yeah. So I think the last person was Kwanhan and Brian was earlier. So okay.
Jahan. Yeah.
Oh, Jahan. Okay, Jahan. That's interesting. Okay, so cool. So the winner is actually Kwanhan. So you get you actually need to pay me £1.25p, and Jahan owes me about £2.80p. And so let's discuss about what happened. Okay. What do you all think anyone did wrong during the game?
I don't understand Julie's action of going 5.25.
Yeah.
I think I understand. Because
Thank you, Jahan.
because she will be the second one if nothing happens. So
I think so.
she has to,
Feel.
yeah, she has to, because she has already put in £3 something, right? And the loss would be around 1.6. So if she puts in 5.25, she loses. I'm not sure whether this is loses or not. She has to pay extra 0.25 and get the
Okay.
product instead of just paying 1.6 and not getting it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Okay, I think I got a game wrong. As in, like, I thought we were bidding for a £5 note, but in Malaysian
Yeah.
ringgit.
I mean, it's the same, right? Malaysian. Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I thought, like, I was wondering, like, why is everybody like, yeah, so never mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that part I was a bit confused. I was like, okay, like, why is everyone like bidding so low? And then, yeah. So I guess that was my mistake on my part. Sorry.
Okay. Cool. So okay, let's talk about what happens, right? So this is a game where is the easiest to fallen prey into because of a very um, Venonius terms where the second highest bidder gets to pay, and obviously no one wants to be the second highest bidder, and in fact if in the hands of a right person, you can actually have a skyrocketing price. I've played with other friends before and it goes up to about £20 just for a $5 bill, £5 bill, and that's because no one wants to be, and that's because I mean, from my point of view, I've already known the psychology. Once you are in the game, you don't want to lose any money, and you keep on bidding the price in the hopes that you end up the highest and not the second highest. But the other person will think about you think the same thing as well. So and if you think about the earlier session on barrel induction, right? This is actually the reaction that you should have thought of. The thinking should be that once I enter the game, what will the others do? Will they just let me snatch the £5 bill at a lower than 5 value? No, they actually probably bid the price up to around 5, and at that stage I'll be forced to up my price again. And what would the other guy do? Before the time ends, there's so many opportunities for us to switch our position. Maybe the best strategy after you have put your foot into the game is to just stop and accept the loss and not engage in another bidding war with the other participants. And of course, the optimal strategy in this game is to not participate at all. So So yeah, I think it was quite interesting to see Jahan coming in with 575 because that was because effectively staying out is the best strategy. Or in another case, I also realized that there are some very smart people who actually communicate with the entire field about, okay, guys, I'm gonna offer £1 and no one's gonna compete with me, and we're gonna share the profit. And that's smart, right? But
Yeah.
as in many auctions, the participants don't get to collude. They don't have full information of who's there, and I think by the rules, you are not supposed to reach out to them before the bidding starts as well. So yeah, that's just so what we just witnessed, right, is just how the market is willing to pay for something that's actually not worth its price, right? And what happened? What you actually see is irrationality in play for while you value assets. And the $5 bills earlier could very well be a company share, right? And each of us, more or less knows that. I mean, in this case, you know very clearly that it's worth $5, but £5. But it was actually the bidding mechanisms that extract all the profits that you could have made, and effectively made everyone who's a participant a loser. And of course, in the stock markets, it's not that precarious that I don't know, maybe 20% or 30% of the people ends up winning. I'm not very sure about the market winners and losers, the ratio. But okay, wait, I just need to reply someone. Sure. So the bidding mechanism, yeah. But in the stock market, again, let's go back to Mr. Market, right? So in the market, there is the bidding mechanism is neutral, but let's just say that instead of looking at a $5 bill, a £5 bill, you're actually looking at a bag of assets. All right. So this bag of assets is essentially an unknown. Okay. And the market promoters, like the investment banks, will tell you that, oh, there's so much money in it that you should invest in this company. So, but to everyone's eyes, it just values differently, right? And I mean, that's just how the market works, because in the short run, hi. So in the short run, I think the stock market is like a beauty contest, right? You're not supposed to choose who do you think is the prettiest, but rather you should go for who do you think the voters, the juries thinks is the prettiest. So in the short run, the stock market is a voting machine. And I think, as you can see from the US presidential election, it can involve a lot of irrationality. All right. So, but in the long run, it's a weighing machine, and basically, the weighing machine is going to tell you how much is worth in this bag of gold. All right, in this bag of gold, and how should you actually what is the actual price that we should be putting onto these assets. And this is actually what we are going to talk about. What are the techniques to evaluate a company? That will be the focus tomorrow. But yeah, I think we have a long enough discussion on the auction games. Auctions is according to my teacher, a very fascinating thing to study if you're doing economics, because you can see how much how the dynamics between the bidders and the house changes as the rules change. And in fact, it is probably one of the most effective way of determining price, which is so quintessential in our everyday life. I think the most effective, not to say most fair or whatever, but the most effective bidding mechanism is probably a sealed bid, where it just it's a sealed bid with second highest, where the winning bidder pays the second highest price. And I don't know, I'm not very sure, but you can think about it after the session. But for now, we are going to learn about Warren Buffett's story. Okay, so as I've said before, Buffett I really think he's a role model that everyone can look up to, and so I think he is 85 this year. Alright, so I think he started out selling newspapers, and when he was about 30 years old, he bought over this company. Berkshire Hathaway, which was at the time maybe called Berkshire or Hathaway. I'm not very sure, but it was a very simple company that handles, I think, mills. Okay, so textile mills. So mills, and at the time, Buffett looks at this. So Hathaway Mills. So when Buffett was looking at this company, right, he had a very simple idea of making himself rich, which is because he thinks that the company is undervalued, and it was selling at a very distressed price. So Buffett came in and he bought probably the entire company, and just before he decided to sell this company, to liquidate the assets, if you're familiar with accounting terms, just to basically look at whatever is left in the company and sell it off for profit, immediate profit. He could have made a lot of money out of this, right? But once he was actually on the management, he realizes that, like you can see here, the mills had about 6,000 employees who have very little transferable skills, and very little means of making money from other professions. And Buffett was a really nice man. He thought about selling the company again, and ultimately decided to stick with the firm and not just come in and tear the company apart and retrench all the employees. He could have done it absolutely fine because he was a controlling shareholder, I think. So what happened with Buffett was that with this company, he started, I think, acquiring other businesses. So he wasn't venturing into new businesses himself, but he buys up good companies, good insurance companies that was managed by reputable managers, competent managers that he sees fit, and eventually he made a few more excellent investments as well. I think in Washington Post, in some stakes in Geico. I think Geico is an insurance firm. You recognize the frog, I think. Not very sure. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, the Geico frog. So yeah, but let's think about how Buffett's wealth has compounded, right? Anyone wants to take a guess? How much is he worth now? Okay. Any guesses? No?
$60 billion?
Okay, that's close. Okay, yeah, so his wealth is currently probably looking at 66 billion USD. And if I'm not mistaken, he has only hit his first million when he was 30 years old. So 66 billion is about 66,000 million, right? And if you put that over a compounding rate, you can see how his wealth has grown exponentially. Okay, I think the graph is quite misleading because it's at longer intervals at the later stage. But if you use a calculator, you can actually see that he has been compounding his wealth at about, I think I was looking at something like this for, let's say, 55 years. Okay, never mind. So yeah, I think he was compounding his wealth at about 23% every year. Obviously, there are always ups and downs, but that's just like an annual compounding rate that he has achieved. So, and it's really quite amazing because, especially with the slowing economy the past 2 decades, and he still managed to achieve a very remarkable personal wealth. And he's really, I mean, he's really good at doing what he does, because if you look at all the other top 10 billionaires, they all basically have a business on their own. But Buffett is essentially just finding good companies, investing in them, and watch and be a part of the growth, be a part of the profit sharing in the end. So yep. Yeah, and okay, that was fast. So yeah, before I move on to who has any intention to be involved in stock investing in the next, let's say, 12 months.
Me, hopefully.
Okay. Cool. Okay. I mean, we can talk about this maybe afterwards. But yeah, good to know that someone's doing that. So, and have you guys all gone through the Buffett annual letter?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is there any terms that you don't understand in the reading?
Yeah, lots.
Okay. I mean, we still have quite a lot of time, so and go through them. Maybe one of it that you encounter is the normalized return, and I think he mentioned something about leverage current yield as well. So
Yeah, the leverage. Yeah, and leverage current yield. Yes, that one.
yeah, but I think these terms just simply means that the it was probably not, as in the purchase of the farm was never involving any sort of debt, and maybe the farm itself has not taken any debt on its own too. So it's unleveraged, and current yield just means current yield just means that just means the return over the price, over the asking price of the farm. Okay, so let's see. So Buffett obviously, like I said, he has made a lot of excellent investments in companies. But what is very interesting is also that he has made alternative investments in real estate. In his middling years, I think he's probably around 35 years old now. 35, 40. Because he's about 85 now. Oh, sorry, you're looking back. Also, so sorry, just 30 years back. He was already 50 something. He has already adult son, an adult son. And so yeah, let's go through the article together. So okay. So investment is most intelligent when it's most business-like. Benjamin Graham, the Intelligent Investors. It's fitting to have Ben Graham quote open this essay because I owe so much of what I know about investing to him. I'll talk more about Ben a bit later. I'll talk even sooner about common stocks, but let me first tell you about two small non-stocks investments that I made long ago. Though neither changed my net worth by much, they're instructive. This tale begins in Nebraska from 1973 to 1981. The Midwest experienced an explosion in farm prices caused by a widespread belief that runaway inflation was coming and fueled by the lending policies of small rural banks. Then the bubble burst, bringing price declines of 50% or more that devastated both leveraged farmers and their lenders. 5 times as many Iowa and Nebraska banks failed in that bubble's aftermath as in our recent recession. So it was a really terrible time. And in 1986, I purchased a 400-acre farm located 50 miles north of Omaha from the FDIC. It cost me 280,000 USD, considerably less than what a failed bank had lent against a farm a few years earlier. So he got licked up in terms of his borrowing costs because I think the terms is more lenient now, and I knew nothing about operating a farm. And but I have a son who loves farming, and I learned from him both how many bushels of corn and soybeans the farm would produce and what the operating expenses would be. From these estimates, I calculated the normalized return from the farm to be then about 10%. I also thought it was likely that productivity would improve over time and that corn prices would move higher as well. Both expectations prove out. And so in the last paragraph, I needed no unusual knowledge or intelligence to conclude that the investment had no downside and potentially had substantial upside. This is very important. There would, of course, be occasional bad crop, and prices would sometimes disappoint. But so what? There will be some unusually good years as well, and I will never be under any pressure to sell the property. Now, 28 years later, the farm has tripled its earnings, and it's worth 5 times of what I paid. I still know nothing about farming, and recently made just my second visit to the farm. So, all right. When you look at this investment, right, best way to define is, of course, the return, but you should also take note about the risks Buffett took on in this farm. Okay, I'll just pick someone. Jia-Heng, how would you calculate the investment of the return on this investment if you are only given these two paragraphs?
The two paragraphs where it says the price of the property and the normalized return, is it?
Yeah.
At first glance, it definitely be quite appealing towards investors because 10% in a year is quite good. Yeah, and I think there are certain things if I were him, I might not make the same decision as him because I will think about the expenses so on, and there might be like what he said. There might be occasional bad crop, and it depends on the economy. Yeah, it depends on the economy at that time.
Okay. Yeah. So about the economy as well, he looked at the. You have to realize that he doesn't really care about the macroeconomy at the time. And this thinking runs through even at the next investment. So let me go through the process that Buffett had. about this investment. So essentially, you are looking at a farm. Don't care about the price. Okay, but yeah, let's say I'll just record it 180k, 100 acre. He knows that the annual return is 10%, and he thinks that as the productivity grows, probably this number will go upward as well, and which means that even without any changes, any uptick in the economy or whatever, you could probably be looking at getting break even in 10 years, right? Because let's say you purchase it at 280 and every year they are returning you 28k. Yeah, I mean, if he says that this is normalized, then probably you can assume that it was inflation adjusted. And in 10 years' time, he would have been earning free cash flow from this farm. And but look what happened, alright? So he assessed the investment to have virtually no upside. No downside, but substantial upside. So the risk return was that's a limited downside with a huge upside. And yeah, I guess that's what made him purchase the farm as well. So, but look what happened at the end of the period. So after 28 years, the farm had tripled its earnings. So the earnings is probably around 30% based on the purchase price each year towards the latest stage of the farm, and it's worth 5 times the asking what he has paid before. So if you think about what we had just done, right? We were doing all this compounding and stuff. Let me just say that, okay, what if the average return he gets from this farm was about 15% every year? Okay, because early stage of the farm's life it was 10 and afterwards it was 30, but we had no really a real way of determining the average return because it doesn't say here. But let's say it's on the lower end, let's say it's 15%. And after 28 years, maybe you're looking at about at least, if you can calculate this, help me out, but 28 times 15, maybe around 400%, okay? 120%. And, okay, let me just use the screen. So 420% from earnings, and 500% appreciation in the price. So maybe you minus a bit of maybe you had a bit of like a red pair or whatever. Let's say he actually had about a 900% return on this investment in 28 years. In your compounding terms, what do you think has happened? Okay, so essentially, the investment had doubled. How many times?
9.
Sorry, someone say 9?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not 9 times, right? Because it's probably closer to 3 doubles. Because 1 to 2 to 4, 8. It's really ugly. Sorry. Okay, cool. So 2 to 4 to 8, and somewhere to 16, but very early. So let's say yes, double 3 times in 28 years. So on average, he was doubling it at every 9 years. Okay, and using the 72 rule, you know that this farm has been growing at 8% each year, probably, consistently for 28 years, and at the end of it, you get back this return. And yeah, I mean, obviously, Buffett could have done all this calculation while he made a purchase, but I'm pretty sure he had assessed the risk reward very clearly, as he has said in this shareholder letter, because this annual letter is basically what Buffett has always returned to his Berkshire Hathaway shareholders. Besides talking about the company's performance, he would always talk about his some small stories, wisdoms here and there about his investment philosophy. And I think, even though this doesn't concern stocks, but it's a very good starting point for us to look at. So, I think I don't have to work out the next investments return. And this the company again. The real estate again had a 10%. The property had a 10% current yield, leverage as well. But it has been undermanaged by RTC. So, if this building was earning 70 pounds, sorry, if 80% of the tenants, occupied tenants, paid 70 USD, and the largest tenant essentially paid zero, right? Immediately look at this as once this lease expires, suddenly the earning potential of the company of the property has increased by 25%, because we are not basing it with the 100%, but 20% over 80% was is 25%. So immediately he knew that even without the renewal of the new tenant, once the new tenant renewed his lease, the earnings potential would appreciate 25% without him doing nothing much really, other than renegotiating the tenant lease for the biggest tenant. And he also thinks that since that it was so close to the New York University, there's very little downside in terms of suddenly this property being emptying out. All right, because students will always be students, and there's always going to be a flow of the renters there. So afterwards, he actually said that earnings triple. Instead of being boosted by 25%, it actually was boosted by 300%, because of good management. Because of good management, and he found a friend to help manage the property. Yeah, as stated here. And I think the return on this property investment was also close to 800% or something. But you can try this out with the method that we have just gone through earlier. So yeah, and you need to realize that this was 20 years ago. So obviously, it has made way more money afterwards. And but yeah. So after reviewing these two investments, I'm just gonna, before we go into Q&A, I'm just gonna talk about a few more fundamentals of investing that Buffett has emphasized on. So you don't need to be an expert in order to achieve satisfactory investment returns. I think there's a stigma with people trying to be excellent in stock investing. It's like if I ask you, William, would you want to be an average surgeon? Would you want to learn surgeon skills, but just be an average surgeon for free? Do you want to take that? Yeah, I think William can't hear me, but yeah, I think he was outside. So okay. I'm just saying that I think some of you might say yes, but if I ask you if you want to be a average investors with zero effort, with zero fee, zero commitment, some people actually resent being average because um, I think there's a popularizing of the successful gurus but to be fair, even if you can be above average, you should be happy with it because um, it probably means that you have maximized your earnings potential given what you have. You are beating probably the stock market on average. You are beating the fixed deposit savings rate, which hovers at about 3% currently, maybe 4 if you go to a very good bank, a good deal. But yeah, and there's really nothing wrong about being average. And I'll come back to that later, but okay, let's move on to the next one. Focus on the future productivity of the assets you're considering. If you don't feel comfortable making a rough estimate of the asset's future earning, just forget it and move on. No one has the ability to evaluate every investment possibility, but omnipresence isn't necessary. You only need to understand the actions you undertake. And yeah, indeed, the future is very uncertain. And if you are not comfortable evaluating the company, or you just don't see the business surviving maybe 10 years out, perhaps you should be very conservative with your estimate when you're evaluating that company. And so nextly, if you instead focus on the prospective price change of a contemplate purchase, you are speculating. There's nothing improper about that. I know, however, that I'm unable to speculate successfully, and I'm skeptical to those who claim sustained success at doing so. And that's basically sort of my take as well, because my speculating experience wasn't great as well, and I think being early in the game actually helps me learn that okay, I'm just not the type who can look at candlesticks like timing does and earns a fantastic return of it. So I'm now more a buy and hold guy, and Buffett's thinking really fits into mine as well. So yeah, half of all coin flippers wins their first toss, but none of them should have expectation of profit if he continues to play the game. And alright, so come to the next one. With the two small investments, I only thought of what the properties will produce and care not at all about the daily valuation. In fact, if someone always shouts to you about the price of their farm, right? It's only possible that you take advantage of it. When he shouts at absurdly high prices because he feels good about it, just sell him the farm. And if he comes to you and tells you that the world's going down and the farm is gonna be very lowly priced, just take his farm then, because you know that the fundamentals are there. And yeah. So nextly, forming macro opinions or listening to the macro or market predictions of others is a waste of time. Indeed, it's dangerous because it may blur your vision of the facts that are truly important. My two purchases were made in 1986 and 1993. What the economy, interest rates, or the stock market might do in the years immediately following 1987 and 1994 was of no importance to me in determining the success of those investments. I can't remember what the headlines or pundits were saying at the time. Whatever the chatter, corn will keep growing in Nebraska and students will flock to NYU. So yeah, that's basically it. And I think afterwards he also talks about some philosophy on whether how should you treat a stock purchase when you know that you probably don't have when you don't have decision control in the firm. And yeah, so the last thing he advises on is that if you think that you are not for those non-professionals, you don't really need the skills to be able to be super competent evaluating businesses. A lot of fund managers probably can't do that as well when they are sitting in their office just making calls to the management, making irregular visits to the factories. some of us here, I think Jali, you're doing law, and Jahang's doing, Kwang is doing engineering, Jahang's doing accounting. So, in the sense that we have all our specialization, and we understand what businesses can do well, probably in our field of competence. So, but outside of that, how do you determine what's a good investment or not? So Buffett's good news to you is that maybe you don't have to think so much about those investments, but instead you can just rely on index funds, because in the 20th century, the Dow Jones Industrial Index has advanced from 66 to over 11,000, paying a rising stream of dividends to good. And he's very certain that the 21st century will continue witnessing further gains. The goal of the non-professionals should not be to pick winners, but should rather be to own a cross-section of businesses that in aggregate are bound to do. And being born in America, I think Buffett said was like winning a lottery to him, because he is blessed with all these businesses around him that he knows has the potential to grow. But yeah, a low-cost S&P 500 index fund will achieve this goal. So yep, there's still a lot to go through here, but don't really have the time. So yeah, I think we just go into Q&A now. If so if you have any questions, feel free.
I have a question. I want to know, why did you choose this article in particular? I mean, I understand that it illustrated the examples you wanted it to, but are there other similar articles, or why did you choose to highlight this point?
Choose to highlight this because that's what my teacher used during the summer school as well. And I don't know, I think it's just quite fascinating that what my teacher thinks is the biggest lesson is not from Warren Buffett's stock investment, but the non-stock ones that really exemplifies his principles. And it also has really a lot of similar themes to what he usually expresses in his annual shareholder letters. I think shareholder letters are actually being compiled by some publishers, and they actually made it an actual book on sale, just compiling his shareholder letters. And he has a lot of just philosophies that Buffett holds very strongly to, and you can see how this man never changes throughout the year, and he was very insistent in his ways. So I think that was really cool. So and definitely, if you need a role model, if you need someone to help you reverse engineer that steps, I think at this stage I'm just looking at Buffett. And yeah. So who's next?
You said like about speculating. You haven't had much luck with speculation. So what have you had luck with? Or yeah.
Yeah. So me now, I'm just using a very conservative estimates. It's a concept about margin of safety, which we will talk about tomorrow when I give you two examples to go through. One was what my teacher showed us. It was a US firms, and so using that principle, I actually screened through the Malaysian companies. I found another one as well, and I find that searching on this sort of very rare companies where, in terms of the accounting terms, where the hidden assets is potentially worth much more than what the market price says, is actually a very comforting action, because like I said, the stock market may be a voting machine influenced by sentiments in the short run, but I'm very confident that in the long run it will show its value. The value emerge, the stock market will recognize it, and this sort of investing doesn't require you to take your eyes to the screen day by day, so it's low effort, and it gives you a peace of mind. And so far, I think it has worked out quite well. And yeah.
Yeah. Building on this question, do you like this approach that you take is more towards fundamental trading, like looking at the accounting issues or
Wait, what was it I said before accounting issues?
I would like to know is your approach more towards fundamental in this case?
Approach more towards?
Accounting ratios, like you were saying.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, generally, you can read up on some guy. I'm typing his name here. I'm not sure if I type his name right. He's an Indian. He's dubbed as the next Warren Buffett. I think he's probably like 40 years old. Oh, sorry, he's 52. But he's really rich just by investing as well. I think he has been compounding his investments at 30% every year. And his logic is really to be very businessman-like when you invest. And he always he thinks about the worst case scenario that can happen to a business and sees that can the business still make money for him at that scenario. And once you take care of the downside, like what Buffett did with his farm investment, honestly, you can only be looking at what the upside will be, right? But for me as well, I look at the downside of the investment. I think about whether I can forecast it 10 years out. And it's not really to forecast. I try to give a very pessimistic numbers to what the companies will make in the next 10 years. And if I think that it's still worth its price, combining with its asset, okay, so future earnings plus assets at the present value. If they are still overwhelmingly in your favor, then it's a good bet. As Monish Pabrai would say, you make you make infrequent bets, but you make bets that you are very confident in, that you are very confident that it will pay off big. And that's how Monish Pabrai has been successful. And if you look at Buffett, when he was trying to buy the textile mill, he knows that he could have taken very little risk just liquidating the firm, but he chose not to. But afterwards, you still see that he always goes into businesses that he knows very well. He trusts the management, and I think these things coming back to the question goes beyond the accounting numbers, because you can always assume the worst of the management in conning you, and the worst of what the economy will be. So I do think that macroeconomy plays a very small part. So just assign very conservative numbers to estimate. And if you still think that it comes out that you should be ahead in most of the times, then that's a good bet to take. Yeah. Anything else?
Actually, I've always been curious. The way you put it seems really simple, right? But then why do people tend to lose so much money in the stock market?
I think, I don't know, but from my own experience, earlier, I always don't hold on to, I mean, in hindsight, I always don't hold on to the stock that I like long enough. And every time I listen to a friend's advice, I lose out. I don't know, but I think it's very common among beginners to follow the flow. I used to look at prices action every day. I used to think about, in terms of, I always want to combine technical analysis and fundamentals. So other than looking at the income statement, I also look at day-to-day price, candlesticks, and almost always doesn't work out. And I think people rely too much on other people's opinion. Like at this stage, I probably stopped looking at any research reports produced by the Malaysian investment banks, because honestly, some of them are very low quality, and you can very easily find faults in the Excels that they produce. So, but beyond that, I'm saying that I think there's an issue about the ethical side of the investment bankers having conflict of interest with the companies they want to promote. And all these things are actually disadvantages stacked against newbie, right? And so you either follow a very good guru, or you just follow your own your own principles very sternly, and do some tweakings on your system and stick to it. And I think that's how I can avoid um, losing money. And at this stage, what I'm really doing is not to lose money in the stock market. I don't really care about how much money I make on it, but I just don't want to lose money. And I think once I cover the upside takes care of itself. So yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So right now you are actually buying stocks, right?
Yeah.
Like, how to say? What, like, for example, if I want to start, like, where should I start? And yeah, how should I start and to make sure that, like you said, don't lose money?
So a few principles. So think about what you know best, right? I don't know. Maybe you are actually a very good representation of the Malaysians' preference, right? So think about what you like. Think about what you know about the companies in Malaysia. If you want to invest in Malaysia, that's to say, if you know a company well, and like it's like so famous, so popular among your circles of friends, then you can probably be quite confident that this should be an okay company in the long run. So that's the first thing about stay within your circle of competence in the beginning. And then afterwards, the second thing that it's probably very hard to do is to be very conservative with your estimates, because a lot of times research reports will blow the cases of the companies they promote to the sky. But you never know whether, this sort of expectation of, explosive earnings, about, change in management, bringing new synergies and stuff. You never know whether they pay off, right? So the best case the best thing you can always do is to just assume the worst, like so bad that you can just see like, oh, I think once this company drops like another 20%, it's an absolute rock bottom. So, but I don't mean that you should wait until the firm drops another 20% before you make the purchase. But it's a thinking that when you go into and you look at the price, oh yes, drop 20%, but you stay with it. And like what Buffett said, if you're not comfortable with the stocks for 10 years, holding it for 10 years, don't even think about holding it for 10 seconds. A very good analogy is when think about, let's say I buy Padini tomorrow on Monday, and suddenly, KISE closed for 10 years and never opens. It's like property, right? Buffett's farm. He also said that, hey, for 10 years nobody ever give me a quote on my farm, but I know that it's appreciating in value, and he has given me very good nights to sleep at. So being very conservative and staying away from the price action is more on the psychology side. And maybe thirdly, I don't know, maybe you can ask your parents about what business do they think is competent in Malaysia. And if you like the firm, walk into it if there's a physical shop and look at how the management has been doing. Look at how the people are servicing you. You can often tell bits of these performances better than the fund managers who sits in the office and prepares their report on very tight deadlines and relying on just whatever his downline tells him. And, so I think invest in what you know. It's what the other fund manager called Peter Lin should tell you as well. And secondly, like Monish Pabrai, be very conservative. And but yeah, ultimately it's your own style, because there are so many kinds of ways of making money, and I'm just describing you one of it, which I think doesn't lose you money. But yeah.
I've sort of a follow up to that. I got the chance to talk to Bramal, who is actually from Credo. I'm not sure you know. Credo is a PE firm,
Yeah.
and you know they have the same kind of
Mhm.
concept where they invest in like consumer goods because they are comfortable with it, and they are things like, for example, 7-Eleven, Bonia, Old Town White Coffee. You know, like those are investments that they are comfortable with, and but obviously on top of that they have, when they do like their due diligence and everything, they have a methodology or SOP or something that they can follow. Like for you personally, do you have a methodology? Like obviously I'm hearing like lots of quite good advice, like think of the worst case scenario 10 years down the line, like what's the situation then. But other alongside other things, do you have sort of like a mental checklist or something that you go through, or methodology of like what's your first step, second step, third step to do when you see a company like any, you know, like how do you go about what's your approach to it, in a sense, because you can think of like 101 things to do, but like which one do you place more priority on, because you're never going to find the perfect investment kind of thing, you know. So how what's your
Yeah.
your thought process and your methodology like approaching something?
So I think in Malaysia it's quite easy to keep in touch with all the firms. There's only about 900 of them in KSA. There's probably 20,000 in the US, and uh, I'm not saying I know all of them by heart, because maybe about half of them is naturally in unprofitable business, or you have never even heard of them, that they don't really worth your time. But I think I usually use a screener. There's a website called isaham.my. So Saham is the share of share in Malay, right? isaham.my. And they have some screeners. So usually I look at the net current assets, or the net total assets first, because I think because like what my teacher told me as well is that look at the balance sheet first, but not the income statement, because the income statements fluctuates a lot. Like income statement is what the revenue and profits have been performing, right? But balance sheet is about what is actually physically lying in the company, stuff like that. So when I look at the balance sheet and make very conservative estimates, I essentially wipe out whatever goodwills or intangibles they have, and I probably discount every other assets other than cash by half of it, and I see. So let's say I want to liquidate the company tomorrow. Oh, but I know that in a fire sale, you know, a 300k house doesn't really worth 300k. Maybe you can only manage to find buyers who's willing to take it at half the price. So all these things, once you make this sort of really shitty, this sort of really conservative, pessimistic estimates, and it still comes out ahead, it means that it's probably okay to stay with it, because one day, you know, someone's gonna come in and realize the value. And so using a screener that tells you the net asset value compared to the price is, I think, a pretty effective way. And I think I've had more success in the UK stock market so far, but I've only been looking at the UK for about 2 months. So it's actually even faster, because I think UK is very efficient in a way that I think the fundamentals, the mismatch between fundamentals and the price adjusted quite fast. At least that's what I'm seeing. But in terms of the methodology, yeah. So first thing, I look at balance sheet. I use a screener to help me screen it, and then afterwards I try to not look at the share price. Okay, so I look at the market capitalization. I look at the market cap. I see whether the net assets is comparable with the market cap, because if they are, then I'm halfway to success, right? Next thing, I just need to ensure that they can earn even mediocre money. They can even have mediocre earnings to to support my forecast, to support my case. And sometimes in a very extreme case, even if you assume that the company closes down tomorrow, you don't even run, or maybe you just assume that it's going to lose like 10% of its revenue every year. If it still makes an excellent business case, then you're only going to be looking at upsides, right? So yeah, I think it's a very simple methodology. It's meant to be. So yeah. And maybe the next step I'll do is to understand the management. Maybe you can try to find interviews with managers on BFM. If they are not, then try to look for news articles. But it's best to actually hear this person speak. Maybe like even go to their events and stuff. So, or just visit the shops if you have a chance. And yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, next.
Any more questions? No? Then you can call it a day. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow. I know it's not ideal to have 2 nights, 2-hour session, but I really think that's the only way I can emulate the classroom experience in online setting. So I think after tomorrow we have maybe like some time for feedback as well. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Shazad.
So
It's a great session.
Thank you, Shaja.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Yep.
Alright, thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.
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 See you tomorrow.
See you.